The MAD method is just a system that I came up with while I was at the gym. I was working out and I go, man, I'm ready to release my own offer. Facebook has this suggestion and I do look over them. I do test them.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Joel Irway here, and welcome to another very special episode of Experts Unleash. We are continuing our advertising series here for you today, and I've got a very, very special guest, Vini Domingues, who runs the MAD Method advertising system. Now, Vini has spent well over seven figures, multiple seven figures. I think he said close to at least $10 million in ads. So I'm really excited to have him on the show. We're going to talk all things, how he's able to scale accounts past $5,000 a month and beyond. It's the whole premise of what we're doing in the series here today. Vini, welcome to the show, my man.
Thank you, Joel. Happy to be here.
Dude, I'm excited. So give our audience a quick, 30-second background about who you are, some credibility. I know I try to prop you up as much as possible, but what did I miss?
Yeah, so a little bit about me. I've worked in multiple different verticals, right? I've built my own offers. I've done publishing for clients where I spent my own money. So just in 2023, I spent $170,000 of my own money on ads on a low ticket info product and spent a little bit more than that. So I spent close to $200,000 of my own money in info products for different niches and different clients. So I've had that. Also run my own offer, built the whole landing page, created the course and everything, and work with clients that are starting from 0 to 1 all the way up to clients that are making 9 figures a year.
So break it down for me, Vini. You've got the MAD method, right? Maybe we can talk about that in just a little bit. But from a high level standpoint, right? First of all, what type of advertising what platforms do you typically focus on? Are you focused specifically on Facebook? Do you go all accounts? Let's kind of get some context there.
Yeah, I primarily focus on Facebook. That has always been my cup of tea.
Okay, cool. And so what have you seen, I'd say, over the past 12 to 24 months with Facebook when it comes to being able to get past that $5,000 per month mark with ads? Are there any changes, any pros, any cons? I mean, we all know that they keep rolling out more and more AI features. Like, is it getting easier? Is it getting harder? From your perspective, what are you seeing happen?
Yeah, so I'm going to break it down into a couple of different ways that I think about ads and media buying, and maybe a little bit of context from what I've done in the past, a little bit what I know. When I started out, I got to know the who very well. That was thanks to one of my mentors. He goes, hey, if you know the who, you can sell any what. Makes your Facebook ads infinitely more scalable. So I've taken that to heart. So when I have been able to scale ad accounts past $5,000 a month, even starting from a brand new ad account starting at $50 a day for the first 2 weeks, is that I focus on the who, the person behind who's actually clicking on the ad, getting them to say yes and moving them forward and then having them convert. That has been the biggest proponent, which for me, that means that the biggest lever that I pulled within the last 12 to 24 months, I've done this a little bit longer than that, but is the creative strategy, is understanding how I can show up on their phone, stop that scroll, get them excited and motivated to take that next step and go into my funnels. So those are the biggest things. And there's a lot of different AI rollouts that do such enhancements, optimizations, and Facebook likes to have this language that says increase it by 31%. And you're going, yeah, but which niche, like which vertical? Does that actually work? Or is that in general, right? And I turn off almost all enhancements. I find them to be a little bit buggy. A good example is I had a client once send me a message and he goes, hey, Vinny, he had this reel pop up on Facebook. And he goes, I don't follow any of these types of posts, but I saw this and it was, I don't know, like something for the Carnival for Brazil or something. And then underneath is an ad for Shopify. He goes, do my ads show up like that? I'm like, oh, that's most likely multi-advertiser ads where it shows up. And then I have another one where it looks like a collage of ads bunched together.
Yep.
And Facebook is saying that it's going to increase it. So again, even though I think that they're rolling this stuff out and they're testing it out, I do believe that AI will help out, especially with the consolidation of ad accounts, right? I do think it will help out, but I think right now what they're doing is they're testing a lot and it can affect accounts. So always focus on the who. That has been my core philosophy around Facebook ads.
That makes a ton of sense. I'll comment just on one thing there. I've been actually an advocate of the enhancements. I found that it generally helps. However, yesterday I got an ad from one of my friends. An ad was shown to me from him, and it was in Arabic or some foreign language. I'm like, dude, I'd say send a screenshot. I'm like, I didn't realize you were, bilingual, multilingual. And he's like, oh. So I've never seen that before, but I mean, nothing surprises me with Facebook. It's just, it's the drug that you can't get away from sometimes. But yeah, anyway, cool. All right. So what's the MAD method, right? Break that down for me.
It's funny because the MAD method is just a proprietary system that I came up with while I was at the gym. I was working out and I go, man, I'm ready to release my own offer. And I go, okay. So Facebook has this suggestion, which I do take Facebook suggestions and I do look over them. I do test them, right? So when I say I don't like enhancements, because I've tested them, it's because I've also gotten a lot of angry screenshots from clients saying, why are we with this same exact, a different or in Arabic, right? And I go, yeah, you're right. So I've noticed it's a less headache for me to turn off enhancements. And so when Facebook came out, I was like probably about a year and a half ago. There's a couple of discussions that are happening in the D2C space that I don't think the lead generation and info product space has these discussions, because for me, I came from the D2C space, went into lead generation, and then went into info products as well. And so I'm noticing what they're talking about about 12 to 24 months ago was creative volume, right? Having a lot of volume in the creatives that you send. I agree. Then Facebook, and I keep looking around, Facebook talks about diversification, making sure that your ad is diverse enough. I think it's like 15 or 20% enough so that it starts to spend on it. Now, what you'll see inside of your ad account is this. You will make an iteration of a really strong ad, but it might not get any spend. And you go, why not, Facebook? Why aren't you spending here? Because Facebook most likely doesn't recognize it as something that is unique enough or different enough for them to start spending on it. Doesn't think it's going to do well. So what I created was the MAD method. The MAD method says for meta ads diversification. That's it. Just has a cool name to it, and I really liked it, and so I went with it. So it's straight to the point. It is how to diversify your best performing ads, not just focusing on iterations, but diverse iterations where Facebook will start spending on it. And a really good example of this, I found a core winning messaging for a lead generation client, and he goes, hey, this is a really good messaging. Why don't we create a couple of iterations? I said, we're going to make diverse iterations of that. We're going to keep the same message. We're going to rearrange the structure of the ad. We created it, put it back into the CBO. It started to spend. All of a sudden, we have 3 winners. So that's what the whole method is about.
Okay. And so what do you typically see as results? Like when you start to, diversify?
Yeah. Specifically, when I look at different results, what I start to notice is that Facebook starts to spend on those ads, right? Depending on the account structure and how you test new ads, here's what it looks like. Let's assume that your testing campaign is a CBO campaign, and your goal is to put in new ads in there, then find new ads that are winners, and then you kind of scale up that campaign vertically by increasing the budget, right? My goal is can I find a lot of different ads that have either strong messaging that allow for me to scale horizontally and vertically? Because what you notice a lot of when people scale their ad accounts, what happens? They see, oh, wonderful. The first 2 days might have a little bit of a wobbly effect. Maybe the third or fourth day have a little bit of wobbly effect. And sometimes it picks back up. But what happens is that they don't have enough ads in there. Like I like to have at least 3 to 6 ads that are really strong. Sometimes even with the same messaging. And sorry, this is going into the results, right? Because then I can scale vertically. I can start to increase the ad spend gradually. And I won't have that wobble effect because I have multiple ads that I know with messaging that works or visual elements that work, so that I can scale up. So those are the results that I'm always looking for. That's why I like to create diverse ads.
Got it. And so you'll typically, I think what you're saying is, if you start to see an ad that had success and it starts to burn out, rather than just like recreating something else from scratch, we are giving Facebook more creative to play with. Is that correct? Is that the diversification?
Yeah. And it's also different enough, right? It's different enough.
Different messaging or different images?
So it can be both.
Okay.
It can be both. I mean, meaning that if I find a visual imagery that works really well that I know, and I want to test out different big idea headlines, then I'll test those out because I want to find different messaging, right? And then if I find messaging that works really well, then I want to test out different visual iterations of it. Can I make it look like a news article? Can I make it a very organic style of ad, right? Where it feels really unique, where the messaging doesn't look like the same, looks like a TikTok bubble. So it looks different enough for Facebook to start spending on it. And that way, that messaging already works, but now you have 3 ads that have that same messaging that works really well, that are all different enough for Facebook is spending in it, so we can increase spend If one drops off, you know that the same messaging is going to be working because you have two other ones that are working as well.
So after you start to roll out these new tests, diversified ads, how do we know if it's winning? Is it just it starts to spend more? Like Facebook recognizes this is not just a minor iteration. Why does Facebook like this method? That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes, because Facebook will kind of scan it and they'll see it and they go, oh, this doesn't look like the other ads. Like it doesn't feel like the other ads. So it'll start to spend on it. So yes, one indicator, a big indicator for me is always spend, right? And that's one indicator. So you have a couple of different indicators that I like to look at. You have your leading indicators, which is what's inside of the actual platform itself. You got your spend, you got your link click-through rates, right? You got your CPMs, and then you also have your cost per link clicks. These are some of your leading indicators. If I'm looking at those and those look really healthy, especially close to, if not at the same as the best performers, then I'm going, okay, this is good. Now I look at my lagging indicators and I go, okay, cool. Let's say that I getting purchases, right? Can it handle spend and get purchases and acceptable cost per acquisition? So those are the ones I'm looking at. Now, let's just say that it's not getting purchases but it has a lot of spend behind it and has really good leading indicator, the metrics, right? Then I'm thinking to myself, okay, it's not a messaging problem because I know it's a message. It could be maybe that something isn't congruent with the visual ad and the transformation of the outcome that I'm portraying in the ad, that maybe they're going on there and they're not converting. Could be something like that. But that's what I wanted to do. I wanted Facebook to start spending on it. Because then again, sometimes you're throwing ads against the wall and iterations and you're thinking, now, man, this is going to work. And it doesn't get any spend behind it. Right. Mm-hmm. And so what I've been able to do is increase the amount of times that I ship out new ads and get it for Facebook to start spending on it more and more and more.
Cool. What are you seeing right now in terms of creative, like types of creative that are working really, really well? Do you put a lot of effort in Reels? Do you put a lot of effort in static images, video ads? What's working now in the info product space?
Static images still work really, really well. They're wonderful for testing messaging. A fun trick you guys could do, I wouldn't call it a hack, but it's just a fun trick we could do with your static images. If you find a big idea and it works well and it works well, make that into a hook. And then if you find really 5 big ones, like most people don't do this. And so that's why I'm saying it, right? Some people who are advanced, they do this on the daily, but some people don't do this. I think it's wonderful. But I've seen a good combination of statics and videos for info products work really well. I'm also seeing B-roll videos work super well. So you don't even have to have your face. You can just have a voiceover and B-roll videos. I've been creating ads using a method called Kaisho Tenketsu, which is a storytelling, like a Japanese storytelling methodology. And I'm seeing some of that structure just really, really crush.
Explain that to me. So B-roll style ads, is it a real style format, or is it horizontal video? Like what's the framework look like?
Yeah, so this one will be real. I also want the videos to be a 4x5, right? And also to be reels. That way they show up on the feeds well, right? I wanted to show up everywhere that it can, but it is a reel. So that would be a B-roll style video.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. One of my clients, she focuses exclusively on reel style ads. Mm-hmm. She's slaying it. I mean, I am seeing, she runs an agency. So she runs ads for them. She's selling $7 live workshops to cold traffic and getting cost per acquisitions of $5, $10, $12. I mean, like, I don't want to say it like massive scale, but she's spending at least $100 a day and all on reels. And so I think there's a huge opportunity right now with reels. I usually do a lot of static images. They work for me, especially with like offer validation, but she's seeing some great longevity and just unbelievable performance with, good reel style ads.
Yeah, 100%. And that's where the diversification comes from, right? You're having a mixture of video ads and static ads and GIFs that are all inside that same control scaling campaign. So what happens is that if one doesn't do too well, that you have other winners in there, right? Videos and different imageries and stuff. And you're allowing that. I have a campaign right now that has videos and statics in it. And I can spend about $500 to $600 a day easily at an acceptable cost per acquisition.
Yeah. I just think everyone is pushing real videos, those shorts, those short videos. Man, I haven't seen numbers like what she's pulling in a very, very long time. And she's selling a live workshop, meaning like she's selling an event, which is the hardest thing to sell.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. So talk about your static images then. So when you test static images, do you like to focus on the product? Do you like to focus on, text style ads? Like, what are your kind of go-to creatives when it comes to static images?
Yeah. So I'll go back to my philosophy on the who. I like to do social listening before. I like to do very in-depth research, and I like to know what it looks like for them to achieve the outcome that they're getting. A good example is I worked with let's just talk about specifically info products here, right? People want to see a really strong return on ad spend. So right now, the static image that's winning for me for the mad method is, hey, how to turn your ad account around in 72 hours, and then a screenshot of a really successful ad account, and where I created the same diversification for, right? Super simple. It is a good time frame, right? Saying, hey, in 72 hours, so in 3 days, it sounds really simple to do. That means, hey, I can implement this today and start seeing results soon, not rather than later. It's a good outcome, good transformation. In addition to that, that's what I want my ad account to look like. Cool, right? So that's what I'm seeing. A lot of outcome in transformational visuals is really what I'm seeing. If I'm doing product based, then I'm focusing a lot on outcome driven headline and outcome like benefit bullet points, making it super easy for them to consume and then move on to the next stage. Those are what I'm seeing work really, really well. But I'm primarily focusing on visuals. I'm working with three info products right now, and that visual transformation is really, really powerful for them.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Any sort of transformation is what people are looking for, right? And it's like when you see a transformation on an ad, it immediately gets that prospect or that, that potential customer in the consideration stage, right? It's no longer just like, oh, I'm connecting with the problem. It's like, no, I want to get here, right? And that's like the best way to kind of like convey, here's how you do it, right? And so love it. Okay, what else are you seeing work really, really well right now that maybe not a lot of people are paying attention to?
AI B-roll videos. Like it's nuts. Some of those are absolutely crushing.
So break it down for me. What is AI B-roll? Like AI voiceover?
Yep, AI voiceover with B-rolls on it.
And is there text overlay, or is it just
text overlay with the captions and everything? And sorry, sometimes I get excited about it. I kind of lose my thought. I'm like in my own head here, like going through it. But yeah, seeing that and storytelling, that feeling of it being organic as well. Just that storytelling, really walking them through it, seeing that work exceptionally well.
Give me an example. This is specific, still for info products. Is that correct?
It can work well for info products as well. One primarily that I'm seeing on my end, there is a B-roll that I'm working on that with info products. It's crushing it. Now, this one is not necessarily an AI voiceover. We have the person actually doing the voiceover, but it's all B-roll. So I'm just showing the actual person who runs the info product.
Yeah, that would always be my objection, is like a lot of info products have a face attached to it. And I think people are tuned to AI voiceover. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I know it's getting better and better. Yeah. I would probably just personally be turned off if I heard AI reading something like, but then again, I'm usually not the target market. I'm a marketer. So, I know behind the curtain. So that's really cool. How do you create them? Are you using something like Canva? Is there a software that does this automatically?
HeyGen is primarily the one. Yeah, HeyGen is primarily the one. And
but that's for video. That's for like face, right? That's not.
It's like a little bit of both.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. For me, I'm primarily the script writer, and then I send it over to the video editor. And I'm like, hey, just create what I want. Here are the scenes. Here's what I'm looking for. I'm primarily the person who creates the script. So I haven't really dove too deep into the type of softwares they use. I know what I want, and then they hand it over to me to get it done.
When you are testing new creatives, right? How long do you give it before you kill it? Are you someone who can tell pretty early on, like within like $50 of running an ad or $20 of running an ad, like those first early indicators of maybe CPM, click-through rate, etc.? Are you able to tell if that's going to be a winner or a loser, or do you like to wait until you spend 2 or 3x the cost of a purchase to let it run its course?
Yeah, I love this question, by the way. It is so nuanced. I have someone that me and him, we talk a lot. His name is Barry Hot, and he goes, you should never turn off an ad. Then I have other people go, oh, you should you should definitely turn off ads really early. Then I have clients hop on again. Within 2 days, you'll know if my ads are working, right? And you hear that all across the board. And it's such a good discussion because it really shows how people run accounts differently, right? And how there are multiple different methodologies. Now, how I like to look at it is if we're depending on our attribution setting, right? Let's say that we're using 7-day click, not 1-day view, not 1-day click. I like to give it at least 7 days. Also, depending on the budget, at least 7 days. Why? Because maybe delayed attribution will come in later. That can happen. Now, there's ways for us to validate it, whether or not it's getting purchases. Let's say we are using Go High Level for our info products, and you can go back, look at the attribution on the back end and directly connect that, and it might not show up on Facebook. That can happen. That does happen, right? And so I like to do it that way. So I like to give it at least 7 days, 5 to 7 days. And let's assume that we're spending $100 a day and it's getting adequate spend, at least $500 to $700 worth of ad spend. I like to give it enough time for me to see it. There can be some early indicators on whether or not it's going to do well or not. Now, for info products specifically, we're going to look at it whether or not it has a really low link click-through rate, right? At least below, I'd probably say 0.9%, I would say. Because sometimes for info products, there's not always going to be a high link click rate. It can, but it's not really an indicator for me of whether or not it's not going to perform, because then the lagging indicators could be, well, these people are actually really qualified and they're the ones that are more likely to purchase the front end and more likely to purchase the upsell. Right. So that's how I like to look at it.
Have you seen them turn a corner? Like, have you seen ads, that crap the bed early on and all of a sudden, boom, take off?
Oh yeah. I have a very specific case, and I hope it's okay that this is not specifically in the info products space, but I was working with a company from Shark Tank, and oh my gosh, this ad was taking up all the spend. I mean, all the spend. I had spent $700, and I'm gonna turn this one off. And I look at it on a click-through basis, because right, the way the different attributions can work sometimes, when you look at it a click-through basis versus like a view-through basis, you can make different decisions. On a click-through basis, it was looking super, super healthy. And all of a sudden, on the 8th day, boom, like 6 purchases. And it became an ad that I spent $30,000 on. And still, I believe till this day is inside that ad account, still humming and getting us an acceptable cost per acquisition. It was like, that's why I like to give it time.
Explain the difference between like view-through attribution and click-through attribution. Do you think that affected that particular ad? Was just the type of attribution, or was it just Facebook needed to find the right people?
Well, that's a really good question. So we were running things based on 7-day click, 1-day view, right? And the attribution. Then we switched over to 7-day click. And what we noticed is that Facebook was finding people who are more likely just to click and purchase, right? Because it's one of that click-through attribution. What we saw in this particular ad is that on a click basis, we saw more like congruency, that people were clicking and they were landing on the landing page, if that makes sense. Like there was this on the click, this part is so difficult to explain, but like on the actual clicks itself, you were seeing more and more people going to landing page and actually taking the actions that we wanted to, right? In addition to that, there's different methodologies to do it. Like you can have 7-day click and 1-day view and be okay with that because you're not running, let's say, Google. So sometimes Facebook isn't picking up the attribution for it when it shouldn't be, right? So it means more profit. So we were noticing that this ad itself on a click-through basis was more profitable.
Got it.
And that's the best way to say it.
Yeah, man, there's so much nuance to ads. It's crazy.
Yes.
It's so wild. But, it's great to get your insight because everyone's different. And so it's good to see the whole breadth of, what works for you, what works for other people, what works for so-and-so. You said you're running your own info product right now for the Mads method. You're spending about $100 a day. What are some stats on that? How well is it performing? What are your next steps with it? Like, do you see potential? What do you see that as? Give us some insights for that account.
Yeah. So right now, I mean, it's very early stages for me. I think we'll launch it March 17th or 18th. And I ramped up spend a bit. We're about $70 a day, ramped it up a little bit. So I'm super stoked. And right now we're seeing about, I say we, but it's just me running it, but I always think about it like as in people. Right now I'm seeing about 14% conversion rate, which I'm super excited about. And we're getting consistently 1 to 3 purchases a day, which I'm really, really happy. I'm taking it nice and slow.
Hmm.
I've been in this before, so I know some of the expectations. And we have about a $54 to $59 cost per acquisition and a $47 average order value. So
Nice. What's the front end price?
27.
$27. Okay, it's $47 AOV. Very
Yeah.
cool.
So we have an upsell for 197.
Yep. What's the take rate on that ballpark?
Ooh, I think 9. I think I looked at it yesterday. I think it's 9. Yeah, 9%.
9%.
It's low right now, and that's okay. I identified where the possible objection is, and it's because I say, hey, I'll audit your ad account, and I have a very specific reason for that. And when I was building out, I said, hey, it would most likely be an objection where people go, I don't want to get that because I don't want you to go into my ad account and audit my ad account, especially since the avatar that I'm going for is most likely an in-house media buyer, an agency, or someone who's a freelance media buyer. So I already knew that coming into it, but I wanted to see that the people who were probably even running their own brands, right, or the in-house media buyer would allow for me to audit their account. And we are seeing the people who have their own brands coming in and purchase that, which is a lower volume than freelancers or agency owners.
That's awesome. Well, dude, Vinny, I appreciate you sharing everything with me, man. Where can people find your stuff? So drop some links and let's send them your way.
Yeah, I can drop a couple links. Facebook is a good place to find me. That's one place. Where can I drop links in the chat here?
Just, yeah, we'll put it in the show notes. So if you want to just,
okay.
Yep.
Yeah, send that over to you then. Facebook, Twitter. I'm starting up my YouTube finally. So those places, and Instagram.
Right on. Yeah, this has been great, Vinny. I appreciate your insights, and we'll make sure we send people your way. We can have them go check out the Mad Method as well, and we'll drop your social media links. So for everyone else who's listening, appreciate you listening, and be sure, go reach out to Vinny. Let him know you heard him on Experts Unleashed, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.
Thank you.